Hi, Mike here. You're watching Yukon Scout Restoration. This video is about camshaft installation, plus some other details. This is not a how-to video. It's a how I do video. I hope you like it. Let's get to work. If you want to help, please subscribe to Yukon Scout Restoration. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out. Before I go any further, I would like to run a tap quickly through these head bolt holes. Well, a little bit of stuff came out of every hole, so it was well worth doing. So now I'm going to adjust the bearing spread on the rod bearings and install the rod bearings into the rods. And after that, I will install the camshaft, whatever else I can do until I receive my piston rings. So let's get to work. The uninstalled bearing spread for the connecting rod bearings is 2.530. This one is too much. They're both just a little excessive. So just give it a gentle tap. Check it again. Still excessive. Tap it again. That one's bang on. That one's okay. A little tighter. Yeah, you see. Doesn't take much. They're pretty close. There. So this is number one piston here. I'm just going to dip that bearing shell in some engine oil. This other bearing shell, dip it in oil. They'll just gently snug these bolts. So because I can't install this piston for at least a week, I put a plastic bag over the connecting rod. The same procedure for the next three pistons. Now I will spend a little time cleaning up the front pulley for the 152. The most important thing is to clean up the surface where the seal rides. I'll just do that with some 180 emery cloth. Wrap it around there, and then just keep turning. So it's uniform. Needs a bit more. It can take quite a bit of time to do this way, but it works. So now I'm ready to install the camshaft. This is my cam installing tool. It's just a 7/16 fine thread bolt and a pair of vice grips. I just screw it into the end of the cam shaft, a few turns, and that gives me enough control. I can hold it up while it slides in. That's all I want. So here we go. I'm applying a small amount of heavy gear oil to the camshaft. I can go in slowly, one journal at a time. The camshaft and cam bearings are new. Yeah. So now we're looking at the back end of the camshaft at the back of the block, and you will see there's a little oil gallery here to allow oil to the back end, and this little plate goes here on the back. There's no thrust there because of the cut of the gears will always force the camshaft forward. So the thrust is at the front. There's no thrust back here. So I've put Permatex former gasket on the gasket here. And I put a very small amount of motor oil on the threads of the bolt. I'm not worried about lubricating the camshaft at this end because I put the heavy gear oil on there when I installed it. So there's already plenty of lubrication there. Camshaft end plate torque is 15 foot-pounds. This is the thrust plate for the front of the cam. I'm just cleaning it up a little bit on a sanding block. It can only go one way. The screws are countersunk, so it can only go one way like this. And I managed to get new screws and lock washers. Number 4 Phillips coarse thread, 5/16 with star washers. And I put a little bit of medium Loctite on there just because. So just tighten them up as tight as I can get them with a screwdriver with a 1/2-inch wrench on it. Setting the woodruff key for the cam gear. Keys in place. There's the timing mark. Looks like I have to turn it. The timing gears are in excellent condition. This is number 1 TDC. So the marks are lined up, the keys in, but I haven't sucked the gear right on yet. I think I'll turn it over a little bit first to make sure there's no binds. And our marks line up. Again, everything's turning nice and freely. Once again, our marks line up. You note, this washer has a notch in it. The notch goes on the woodruff key. So now I marked it with the paint pen. Mark where the key is. And I'm putting medium Loctite on this bolt too. The bolt is pulling the camshaft into the gear. Just wedging a little piece of plywood between the gears. So the torque is 55 to 65. There. So that's torqued. So it turns. Just out of curiosity, 20 thou. So I'm just thinking about those screws. You know, those screws protrude a little bit, but there's tons of room between the gear and the screws. It's torqued. See how much end play we have here. So the camshaft end play specification is 6 to 14 thousandths of an inch. And here we are right here, from 42 to 51. 42, 51, 9. It's right in the middle of the specs. Perfect. Everything's good, everything's happy, I'm happy. So the Timing Gear Backlash, it's 1/2 thou to 4.5 thou. And what we've got here is exactly 2 thou, 2007 inch backlash. So it's right in the middle of the specs. So once again, it's all good. This is the timing cover for the 152 engine. I've got it clamped on the bench and the oil filler pipe is steel and this is aluminum. The machine shop was unable to get this pipe out of the timing cover. They soaked it, they hot tanked it, they did all kinds of things. They're afraid of breaking the cover. I do have another cover on another engine, so as a last resort, I need the steel pipe because the pipe is damaged on the other engine, so I need this steel pipe. So it's do or die. I've either got to destroy this cover to get the pipe out or give up. So I may as well try to heat it. So let's just try that. It's totally unorthodox, but maybe it'll work. So now it starts to move a bit. What I found before was if I heated it too much, it would get tighter. Just wondering if I can put a little pressure on it. Doesn't seem to be putting pressure on it very well. Voila! I got it out! Ha 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 ha! I got out the pipe they couldn't get out at the machine shop. But I understand. They weren't going to risk damaging my irreplaceable timing cover off a classic car. They don't want to wreck that and have an angry customer. We have our pipe, undamaged pipe. This part here, we'll have to check for warpage and heat damage. I'm just going to leave it to cool by itself just like that. I'm pretty happy with that. I will now install the front engine seal and the timing cover. Let's get to work. This is the seal. This is the timing cover. And this is a block of wood to support the timing cover. I'll just apply a little bit of Permatex aviation former gasket onto the seal, like I always do. I'm going to use this piece of pipe for an installing tool. Just set through that. Put the plate on it. This is the oil filter adapter plate and gasket. As you can see, I've coated the gasket with Permatex former gasket. Just going to install this. Prior to installing this, I worked it with a circular motion on a piece of crocus cloth to make sure all the surfaces are perfectly flat, and also the surface on the block, I blocked it, made sure it was perfectly flat. I'm torquing this to 27 foot-pounds. This is the oil filter adapter. I'm just working it in a circular motion on a piece of 220 sandpaper. After I cleaned everything with Varsol, I took the piston, stuck it on my little finger, and got a piece of fine emery cloth, and just turned it inside the emery cloth. So now it's nicely polished. I'm going to put the spring back in the hole, and I'm going to dip this piston in engine oil. Make sure it's not sticking. And put the snap ring back on. This valve will relieve pressure if the oil flow is restricted. Now I'm ready to install the filter base. I've coated the gasket. I'm torquing these bolts to 27 foot-pounds. This is the original canister. The filter cartridge goes inside. There's a long bolt and a spring, and there's an O-ring here. Also, there should be a rubber washer here, or an O-ring, probably a rubber washer here. All of that will come with the new filter. I'm just going to put this on here temporarily until I get a filter. I'm just going to snug it. I'm installing the block heater. I coated it with Permatex Aviation Farmer Gas. Now I just have to push in here and tighten the screw. Note that the element is pointing up at about 1 o'clock, which is usually the only way they fit. Tight enough. In conclusion, the camshaft install went very well. It's crucial to do a proper cam break-in at first startup. My next video will be engine 3, pistons. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Yukon Scout Restoration. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.